Thank you.
All right. We up and running? Yes, we are. All right, so had a little different setup tonight. We're having to use a backup camera because the main camera, we had some technical difficulties this evening as far as our main camera is concerned. So we're going to be kind of looking off to the side here. Kenny, you have to look over here, kind of over to your right. We are, well, let's see. We're in Keaton Beach, as usual. The last few episodes we've been here. We are at the trading post right here. A little different view. I'm Captain Jay Carson. This is Captain Kenny Mullins right here to the left of me. We are going to have Captain Evan Snow slide in here whenever he's ready. Evan, we're going to have to use a little different camera setup tonight because we couldn't get the main one working. So it is what it is. What you got over there? What you snacking on there?
Grouper.
A little grouper? A little grouper. I think that didn't Keaton Beach Bums fry that up for us? I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. How is it? It's good? All right. All right, so like I was saying, I am Jay Carson. This is Kenny Mullins. We got Evan Snow on here. This is the December Big Bend Fishing Report. We are at the Keaton Beach Trading Post doing this live. We want to thank George and Stephanie for hosting us again. George and Stephanie own not only the Keaton Beach Trading Post, but they also own Keaton Beach Vacation Rentals with several vacation options for you to choose from one bedroom, one bath places all the way up to places that sleep 10 to 12 people. So, that being said, I just got a message that says no audio, so I don't know. Can you guys hear us out there? Can you guys hear me? Everybody we got sound. Somebody's messaging and said we don't have audio, so I just want to make sure that we got audio. Can somebody? What's up, TJ? What's up, Justin? Okay, good. Thank you, TJ. Appreciate you. Yes, thank you guys. All right. Good deal. All right. So it's December. It's December 6th.
You sure? Feels like September.
I know. The weather has been extremely warm. We've got, warm weather all week, this week, too. I mean, we got basically fall conditions. I know a lot of people were on the water this past weekend.
Golly.
It was combat fishing out there.
Yeah.
We managed
bumper boats.
Yeah, we managed to scrape together a few fish, but it was definitely, you were having to, I couldn't fish my usual spots because I was just trying to find spots that hadn't been hit already.
I ran like 18 miles trying to get away from people and couldn't.
It was a zoo. It was definitely a zoo. So it made it tough, but I mean it was beautiful Saturday. I mean the weather was absolutely gorgeous. So I mean I can see why it was like that. Usually it's not that bad this time of year. I mean usually December it's pretty quiet for the most part.
It's too hot for people to be in the tree stand.
I guess that's what it is. So yeah, I mean the fishing's been good though.
Oh yeah.
Right. So what do you want to talk about, Kenny? What do you want to start off with? What you feeling? Let's talk about trout first.
Yeah, let's talk about trout.
Well, let's talk about water temp first. What water temps are you seeing? It's warm.
I don't even remember. I haven't been out this week, so.
What was it today, Ev?
71.
71 at the start or when you got off?
I didn't look when I came off, but it was probably 71 around noon.
71 around noon. Yeah, so that's pretty much fall water temps.
Upper 60 Saturday, I think.
Yeah, that's what it was when I saw it too. As far as trout goes, I mean, I think because of our warm temps, they're a little confused as well for this time of year, as far as like a traditional pattern that you would be using right now to fish them. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll just maybe talk about what I was seeing. So there's still some fish on the flats. There's some fish moving.
Fish out deeper.
There's some fish.
Flats.
There's some fish out deeper on the flats. There's some fish in close. There's some fish around some bars. There's some fish in creek mouths. I mean, they're kind of a little bit of everywhere. So I mean, Evan, you were out today. I know. What were you seeing as far as trout were concerned? I know you had a pretty decent day.
Yeah, they were trout around, and
Hey, we come for the in-depth, detailed insight for this show, and
y'all got me up past my bedtime over here. I'm trying to drink some of this coffee and let it hit my bloodstream here. You know.
there were trout around. That's the kind of insight you get right here on the Big Pen Fishing Report. Right, there are trout around.
Yeah, what we caught were pretty good size, and we were in pretty close, working in close, shallow water.
Yeah. I noticed this weekend that we caught the majority of our trout during the peak tidal movement on the incoming and outgoing.
Absolutely.
It slowed down at the top of the rise and then kind of picked back up once the water really got moving out. Same on the incoming. That midsection of the incoming is when they seem to want to feed. So that was...
Which is typical most of the year.
Yeah, which is the trend that I noticed. Found some few stack trout, but also just kind of picked them up sporadically as well. You know, it's kind of like a little bit here, a little bit there. You run into a few, and then...
Yeah, a week ago they were stacked a lot better than they are now.
Water temperatures were colder a week ago, too.
Right.
Yeah, so... we are supposed to get a front, next week, I think, so it's going to drop the water temperatures down. So I think that might start to trend those fish towards what they would normally be doing this time of year for mid-December, which I target. I mean, when you're going out mid-December, what are you focusing on, Kenny? I mean, like, what areas are you kind of looking at?
Up close.
Yeah.
Some structure. Holes. Sand. I'm kind of like Evan over here.
We're going to have to step our game up tonight, guys. Otherwise, it's going to be... We need a little better engagement.
I mean,
Yeah. TJ said it was 66 degrees here Sunday. TJ, where is here? You want to give us a... You don't have to say specifically, but like, was that... I know you're fishing further west. Is that St. Mark's? Is that Lanark? Is that Apalachicola? What's up, Matthew? What's up, dude? Glad you... thanks for showing up, man, and watching. Panacea. So TJ says Panacea. It was 66. So that's kind of cool.
What's up, Matt?
So, I think we're going to see the rest of this week. We're going to see continued warming trend through the weekend. I mean, the water was supposed to be 80 tomorrow, I think. Daytime highs are in the 80s.
Yeah, and
slick. I mean, no wind. So,
well, that's the thing, right? So, the warm temperatures are great, but if it's going to be bluebird and calm and the water's clear and it makes it tough, If it's going to be calm, you need some overcast skies, or you need maybe some serious current and water movement, because if it's blue skies out there and calm, I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful day, but
it's not ideal fishing conditions. It really isn't. And the person that I had on the boat with me Saturday, we had run to some cleaner water and actually struggled in that cleaner water.
You found dirty water?
Well, I mean, I found dirty-ish water. I'm not saying dirty.
Afterwards, you're gonna tell me where that is.
I'm gonna say it was not as clean as some of the areas, but
lightly stained.
Yes. So I mean, I
couldn't find
the water that you can find that has a little bit of tannic to it. It seemed like that. When it's bluebird, that helps a little bit. So anyway, what about as far as what baits we throwing?
I've been throwing a lot of unfair greenies, rip and slash, slow suspending, some unfair 100s, rattle trap.
Whopper plopper. No, this is basic wintertime stuff. Miradines, jerk shads, and there's still, they ate some top water today, still, with it being warm, and shrimp. They'll eat a shrimp.
Yeah,
I haven't had much success on shrimp. I don't know.
Pinfish.
I haven't used.
There's still some pinfish on the flats.
I haven't used any.
Yeah, there are. I haven't used any pinfish.
There's pinfish on the flats. There's
It's hard for me to use pinfish when they're eating artificial.
Well, yeah, I know.
What's
I'm just
up, Lee
saying.
boy?
I'm just saying. Yep. Yeah, Lee Haney, appreciate you joining us, guys. We're kind of gonna go maybe open mic tonight. So if you have any questions or anything specific that you want to talk about this evening, feel free to throw that up in the chat. Any questions or anything? We appreciate everybody joining us.
That was a nice wahoo you caught, Lee.
Jason Johnson, appreciate you joining us. Jason joins us from every week, just about or every month from Cherry Lake. Appreciate it, Jason. Again, Matthew, appreciate you showing up. Lee Haney is a regular viewer. He's been up around a good bit.
Lee boy.
Yes, sir. I don't know what else. I mean, anything else that we're missing? I mean, I think we got hopefully some cool weather coming.
I hope.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some colder water temps. I'm ready for those water temps to get down consistently in the low 60. Thomas Mays, how far out are the grouper folks are catching? I can actually speak to that, Thomas. I was out this weekend offshore, and grouper are still anywhere from 50 to 65 feet in that range. So,
got any coordinates?
I do not have any specific GPS spots, no. But we were catching grouper in between 50 and 65 feet, so they hadn't quite come in as shallow as they can get, but they're still out there in that range.
Kind of like the trout.
Yep. Grouper, and I guess, and we were offshore, and the water temp was 71 degrees offshore Sunday. Surface temp. So, I mean, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Jason says, talk about triple tail. Y'all catch any? There's not many triple tail around, Jason. That was kind of an October thing.
I caught a cobia the other day.
I did see that.
I caught triple tail Saturday.
Did you catch triple tail Saturday? I looked. I didn't see any.
Caught quite a few.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I guess when that water temperature gets back up in that mid-60s range, they start showing up. I didn't even look. I mean, I looked Sunday, but I looked kind of offshore Sunday.
I seen a sheep's head about the size of a trash can lid today on the flats.
Yeah. Well, you remember the couple that stopped at the boat ramp talking about the sheep's head?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Johnny Hellier asked about sheep's head. Is that why you said that, Evan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got these eagle eyes. I'm reading comments from across the table.
You are.
Here.
You are.
That coffee's kicking in.
Yeah, this crabby coffee they sell up here has got me going now.
Sheep's head, that's kind of like a January, February thing, though, right? I mean, kind of you
catch them
in the wintertime. I know they get in like the holes and stuff in there,
Yeah,
but as far as the numbers go, I guess our best numbers are kind of like
I don't really
January,
fish
February.
enough live bait on the bottom to catch a lot of sheep's head. That's
Me
what you
neither.
got to do. You know, if it's like dead winter and we're up in the creeks, like in holes, like fishing with shrimp, we'll catch some sheep's head from here and there, especially on the moons. But that's that. I'm too active. I can't sit still long enough to just soak bait long enough to catch a sheep's head.
Frank Sullivan asks, where are you guys fishing mostly inshore? Frank, if you could be more specific, we're not going to give any specific places, any spots out, but if you could be maybe a little bit more specific in what you're referencing, we'd appreciate it. As far as like, are you talking about like structure or grass flats and in that regards, we might be able to help you out as far as that goes.
Always on fire.
The lighthouse is always on fire. I do know some people who fished over there recently, and it's been decent.
You know those guys over there love it when we say that, right? They love it.
The rock garden.
Redfish in the rock garden.
That's what's always stayed on another report.
Yeah. Thomas Mays, north or south? Both, Thomas.
Yes. North, south, east, west, up, down, somewhere between the top, bottom, and middle.
Yeah. North or south of what, Thomas? I mean, are we talking like Steenhatchee,
Equator,
St. Mark's? You guys got to be a little bit more specific. Matt says, most bizarre catch for me a couple weeks ago, caught a sheepy on hard plastic lipped jerkbait.
I catch quite a few on spoons.
Matthew, I have caught a sheephead on a rattling redfin before, so that actually doesn't surprise me too much.
Been catching quite a few flounder also.
Yeah, quite a few flounder. Yes, yeah. Flounder bite's been good. Yeah, it has been good.
If you're in,
and good
if you're
ones
in
too.
there close and you're dragging some soft plastic on the bottom, you're gonna catch some flounder.
It's been
right
good
now.
too. I've been catching some big ones, like 17, 18 inchers.
They're definitely
yeah,
around.
yeah, that's for sure.
There's some out too.
That's definitely something that is not I mean,
It may not be hot and heavy action, but if you're working a plastic slow and coming in contact
Yeah.
with the bottom, you're going to catch it.
yeah, no, that's definitely
Find
and
some sandy bottom around some rocks.
I've been impressed with the size of them.
Yeah.
You know, usually you run in a lot of 14, 15-inch flounder, but we've been running in more like the 17, 18-inch.
It's 'cause that closure.
Good size fish. I get
that unnecessary
Yeah.
closure.
Yeah, the closure. Yeah, Thomas says Keaton. Yeah, Thomas, it just kind of depends. I mean, there's good fishing both north and south, just to kind of depending on what you're wanting to do. So
Them Steenhatchee guys have been killing it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been good. Thomas,
We're not going to say go north or south on the video.
Yeah. Sorry, Thomas. We went north
it's
2 weeks
honestly
ago,
been good.
tore up sea bass and undersized trout.
Sorry, Thomas.
Thomas said he went north 2 weeks ago and tore up sea bass and undersized trout. So there you go.
Yeah. There's been a lot of good trout south of the Steenhatchee River.
There's there's a lot of good trout everywhere though. I mean, like pretty much in 2 to 4 feet, that 2 to 4 foot range.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some big trout just about anywhere whether you go north or south, you're going to run into some good fish.
Yeah. I mean, last week we were catching them all in 5.5 feet.
Yeah.
Stacked
I
up
hadn't
out there.
fished
Yeah.
in 5.5 feet of water in 3 months.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Evan.
They were stacked there last week.
We ain't out there catching sea bass.
I wasn't either. I was out there catching trout. I think you've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Catching limits in an hour and 5.5 feet in
you-
freaking late October or late
Don't
November.
Yeah.
Don't get him fired up now.
You and Pat out there living it out on sea bass.
No. I'll admit I can't catch them like Pat can.
No, he's got them dialed in, man. He
He
came
does.
back with a big old wad of sea bass the other day. Nice ones too. That was impressive. All right. So I guess anything else you want to talk about trout? I mean, I guess as Evan, you said top water was working. As long as that water temperature's, what would you say would be your water temp where you stop kind of throwing top water for trout?
I mean, I'll throw it down into the mid 60s and maybe even the low 60s as long as it's stable.
Yeah.
But it 70s is probably ideal.
Yeah. I think to consistently, be successful with top water this time of year, it's got to be 67-ish and above.
Well, I have a guy that
Yeah.
fishes with me all the time, and all he wants to do is throw top water ever. So even in conditions where you wouldn't think top water would work, I've kind of learned that it does work sometimes because he's just a little stubborn and is always going to try it. So I just try to facilitate that best I can, and generally summer, winter, we'll get some action. You're not going to go out there on a hard cold front or anything and catch fish on top water. But, as long as the weather's stable and the fish are active, you can get some action on top. Now, you may get 3-to-1 bites on going subsurface versus top.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. Was it overcast this morning?
It was spotty, but mostly clear.
Yeah.
We got a little overcast, but it was mostly clear.
Yeah, we tried throwing a little bit of top water this weekend, and with not much success. But like I said, it was bright bluebird.
I threw some Saturday
and we didn't get nothing. It was dead. Everything was subsurface. In fact, everything was on the bottom. Bouncing.
Remember, you and I went out. What was it, last February? We were throwing a little top water.
Yeah. I've caught plenty of fish in the middle of winter. On top water, but you got to get those warming trends,
Right,
just the warming trends between fronts, like we're on right now. We're on a warming trend until our next front.
If it was a little more ripple on the water and a little overcast,
right?
I think last Saturday all we did was throw top water.
When you get those prefrontal conditions before it gets nasty, but it's like humid and a little breezy and overcast, that's when you can absolutely have some banner days on top water this time of year. You get that it's the very end of the warming trend, right before that front comes through.
Stewy out there.
It's stewy, yeah. That the Gulf, moisture is being pulled up, up the front of that cold front, and it gets breezy and overcast, and you can have some really great days throwing top water doing that, especially on trout.
You been throwing much soft plastic, Evan?
Yeah, that's probably what we caught the majority of the fish on today. The Assassin 5 inches.
I was using Mirror Little John this weekend, and that was producing pretty well. Same idea, for sure. How about redfish? Kenny, start us off on redfish.
There's some redfish around. Yeah,
You heard it here, folks. Right here. You heard it.
yeah. Somewhere where there's some water and some structure.
It hadn't been as. I'll just say
It
this: it
hasn't-
hadn't been as good as it was in October.
No, it hasn't been as good last week as it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But you know me, I'm gonna throw a gold spoon.
You know, I'm not going to talk a lot about spots or anything, but something that I just noticed just generally is some days you go out and you'll catch a lot of fish, but they'll all be 20, 21, 19 inches. And, you know, some days you go out and catch some nice upper or over slots. And it's kind of weird because and you're in different areas, just like the smaller fish are more fired up on some days. I don't even really know what to put my finger on it. Maybe it's just I'm on different fish different days, but it just seems like some days you just can't catch anything over like a lower slot fish, and then you go out there the next day doing the same thing and you're catching like nice chunky fish. So I don't know. It's kind of weird.
So yesterday Pat caught 43 black sea bass, a 36-inch red, a 40-inch red, and another 36-inch red, all on Assassin 5-inch.
Look, Pat just killing it. Look at him.
Yep. But only four keeper trout, 2 dozen shorts.
So he's finding those big red in deeper water.
Yeah, deeper
Yeah,
water.
those big bulls are out there in deep water.
Yeah, I guess that's what they do this time of year because you rarely. I mean, you'll catch some upper slots and stuff, maybe
Don't
up
see
to
too
30,
many,
but
yeah.
you don't see the bigger ones.
In close,
You
yeah.
figure if he's catching them while he's catching a sea bass.
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. So, Davis, I see your questions there, man. We'll get to those questions in just a second. I just want to touch on as far as baits that been working for. You know, I haven't had as much luck on. I've been still catching fish on redfish on Gold Spoon, but not like I was a few weeks ago.
No, we've been catching most of ours on the red hot, either the 70 rip and slash, 90, well 70 and 90s, but the big one was the red hot color and the greenie and the arrowhead, and then the stick minnow 100 and red hot has been fire.
Yeah, those stick minnows, those lipped jerk baits are really good this time of year for both trout and redfish.
That red hot color has been on fire.
Yeah. And there's a variety of different baits that you can that of different companies that make those lipped jerk baits. You like one that suspends or floats afterwards? You know, when you
I've been catching them on both, but we've thrown some red fins and we've thrown some iridines, and honestly, those unfairs have definitely been out catching.
Yeah, I caught some on chatterbaits. I've caught a few reds on chatterbaits. I've caught some on spinnerbaits, and then honestly just soft plastics bouncing off the bottom.
I haven't thrown many soft plastics because the plugs have been working. So
you know what was interesting today is we threw spoons quite a bit, and I don't think we caught a single redfish on a spoon.
They hadn't wanted them lately, for whatever reason.
They were indirectly successful though, because I was filling those trout taps, and if you've ever fished a spoon enough, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You keep feeling thump thump thump, and nothing. You won't come tight on anything. Well, then you recognize, well, that's just trout trying to eat it. And for some reason, however trout's mouth built and the way the spoon runs through the water, they just
they have
don't
trouble
successfully eat a spoon most of the time. And so whenever I felt that, I'd put the spoon down and pick up a plastic and throw it in there, and pretty much every time we were coming tight with trout. You know, we were kind of using those spoons to locate the trout, and then stopping and going in there after them with soft plastics. So you're covering a lot more water with the spoons.
That's right.
And like I said, then they'll kind of give away where they're at, and then you can stop and fish it more slowly with the plastics.
Sure. Same thing with topwater too. You know, I use that a lot this time of year as well. Yeah, just if you start getting a lot of short strikes, or you throw it in an area and you can switch it up just the same way. And
yeah, just the only thing with topwater this time of year, sometimes they won't come up with it.
They won't at all. Yeah.
They won't interact with it at all.
They got to be interacting with it for it to work. Yeah, for sure.
Because you use the topwater search baits, all the time in the fall and spring and even the summer. But you can still do it in the winter, but it's not every day.
Yeah. You downsize your topwater plugs in the wintertime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to. Sometimes I get a little lazy and I just whatever's tied
Whatever's
on
there.
Yeah.
Davis Dodson says live bait or artificial. Davis, we kind of touched on that. If you had to pick a live bait right now, shrimp or pinfish or mullet.
Shrimp. Cut pinfish.
Okay, and then is that for reds or trout?
Both.
Yep. And then what color top water were you throwing today, Ev?
Whatever you had tied on.
The I don't know what color, the 808, the orange, the gold mullet, whatever that is.
The gold mullet,
Whatever that
that's a
black,
good one.
orange,
Gold mullet. Yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed, but for me it seems like trout like brighter colors and redfish not so much. As far as top water. I mean, you catch both, but it seems like I catch more trout on the brighter colors like chartreuse and white.
Banging those snook with that chartreuse plug.
Yeah, we were
down south.
Yeah, we were.
So
they like that chartreuse.
Yeah, so we're gonna hang out for a little bit longer, guys. So if you got any more questions, please get those in there, or just anything you want to share, something, maybe a report yourself from a day that you had. Just throw that in there, and we'll kind of go over it and talk a little bit about it.
I agree with TJ.
What's
the changing, rising temp seems to have them confused.
Yes,
they're all over the place.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago was epic. This changing, rising temp season. Yes, that's exactly what we're seeing too, TJ.
Yes.
It's definitely what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's spot on.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
good right there.
That's exactly right. So I guess let's get into our best bet section, because we got to give Keaton Beach Bums the old shout out here. Keaton Beach Bums, located right here in Keaton Beach at 251 Beach Road, Perry, Florida. Gas, bait, ice, everything you need right there. They'll fry your fish up if you go offshore, or you come in and you got a mess of trout and you want to have them fried up. They'll do that for you. Ev, pass me a piece of that grouper right there. I just want a little small piece right there. So this was fried up by Keaton Beach Bums just today. So they'll fry your fish up for you. They got a great little hot bar in there too. If you ever stop in there, good food, good people. Jared and Monica always seem to take care of us.
See, they have 4 Horsemen corks now. Do you see that?
They do have 4 Horsemen corks. They've expanded their tackle to have both walls now. Instead of just one wall, it's 2 walls now. So you got a lot of choices in there. Kenny, why don't you talk a little bit more about Keaton Beach Bums while I'm eating
let somebody else talk.
I don't know. That might be pretty good advertisement right there. I mean, no, like I said, they've got everything you need. Some of the best designed pinfish traps. I wouldn't say the most durable, which I've talked to him, and he's trying to work on getting someone to make a more durable one, but the design themselves are phenomenal, especially if you're wanting the smaller pinfish for trout. Pretty much anything you ask him to get, he gets. I think you've experienced the same, right?
I like their pinfish traps.
Yeah, they work great. Yeah. I asked him about Little John's. He got Little John's in. Asked him, pretty much anything you ask him to get, he'll get.
Great beer cooler in the back too. You got all your, they got beer, ice, all that stuff in there. The ice machine or the ice room has been a huge addition for me. Makes it easy to grab ice. Best bets for December. I guess let me just phrase it this way. So not saying that you are fishing a client or whatever, but what do you enjoy doing personally, Evan, in December? Like if you were to go out and fish by yourself, what are you going to do? What are you going to go out there and try to focus on?
I don't know. I normally just go down the list, and I just take what the day gives you, because it's you can't really force anything this time of year. It seems like. I mean, more than likely, I'm gonna go out there, and I think they'll eat top water. I'll try that. They're not eating that. I'll toss a spoon, and if I'm not getting any bites on spoon, and like today, I feel like some trout thumps, I'll go to some soft plastics and fish those. So, I try to just go out with an open mind, but that's kind of the your artificial, things right there, I guess, would be suspending lures for trout, Ned rigs for redfish and trout. The water needs to cool off a little bit for Ned rigs, but it's just a cold front away, and spoons, basically. I mean, I don't, for whatever reason they hadn't hit the spoons, but they will.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with the spoon activity was. It was really good. It was on fire, and then all of a sudden it's not. So
yeah,
Be curious to hear.
If you're going for redfish, it's worth a try.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Always start out throwing it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Always start out throwing it. If it's not working, then switch it up. But yeah, if I'm targeting redfish, I'm always going to start out throwing a spoon to start with, and then go from there. What about you, Kenny? What you like to do in?
So as it starts cooling off, I throw a lot of slow suspending plugs. The Catch 2000s more towards the later part of the month. A lot of unweighted soft plastics or 1/8 ounce, 16th ounce. What's that? Myridines, but typically as it gets cooler, it's going to be a lot of Catch 2000s and try to slow the suspension down.
I do like throwing those slow suspending plugs for big trout in December. Yep. Especially when that water temperature gets like 60, maybe even a touch below 58, 59.
Well, it's really hard to say just December, November, October, whatever.
There's always a period in there, though, where it seems like those big trout really get fired up for whatever reason, and it's a couple-week window where you just go in and you can just hammer the 24s, the 25s, pretty consistently.
And it's hard
to say. Yeah, it's hard to say when it is, but it's going to happen sometime in there.
And it's hard to beat a Catch 2000 when that happens.
Yeah, no, exactly. And typically it's going to be, over, in those transition areas from grass to sand or grass to oysters or somewhere around in that area where you have some transition bottom in there, and those fish are going to be laid up in there, whether they're getting warm or whatever, but at some point before we get into the dead of winter, I guess what you call it, those big trout are going to get fired up and they're going to feed for a little window. Could be a week, could be a few days.
And if
it's going to happen,
if it does get really cold, because it's more like Evan said, it's more temperature dependent. But start getting into some of the Paul Browns,
Yeah,
softings.
But I mean, you could. I mean, by Christmas, you could be throwing Catch 2000s and Paul Browns, but it could also be 67-degree water temperature, and I'm not throwing Catch 2000s and Paul Browns.
Yeah.
Evan,
you remember a couple years ago we had some relatively cool water temps. It was like 57, 58, upper 50s, and we had a couple really good days. I think throwing jerk shads and those suspending plugs where we were just big trout, averaging 22, 23 inches a few years ago. I'm not going to name the spot, but I think you know where I'm talking about.
That's how we describe the spots, It's like, you remember that day a couple years ago, it was cold as hell down there and it started raining, we got hung up on the rock. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, that's almost just like when it gets like that, you almost just let it just stew, You just give it a pop and just let it just soak. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't think they would bite artificials like that, but they do.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. All right, so so look for that. I mean, if you get that hard cold where we get some good consecutive days of cold, and then you get that little bit of a warm up, that December's a good big trout month. So you can kind of look for that as well.
Yeah, we caught some big ones last week.
Yeah. And it does seem like those bigger trout seem to hang on the flats too, like not so much in the creeks or creek mouths. Those bigger fish like to hang out on the flats. Yep. So you can kind of focus on that if that's something you want to do. Hugh Deb White says, any hints to catching black sea bass? Depth rocks go north-south. I think I heard Pat say pink plastic on quarter-ounce jig head. I'm going to let you talk about that, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. We threw every color I had in the box and was catching them. So I don't, I'm sure pink works all the time, but I don't think it so much matters. I mean, I wouldn't just.
I think if you find them and they're biting, you can throw a cigarette butt down there and they'll eat it. They're aggressive.
And your weight's going to depend on your depth. I mean, as far as north and south, there's sea bass north and south. You just got to find the structure.
What depth? What was it? You got a depth or general depth?
I was fishing
8 to 10 feet.
I was fishing 12 to 18 feet.
Okay, 12 to 18 feet. So there you go. Yeah, a little deeper.
So quarter to even 3/8, half ounce.
Did you run in any small gags when you were out there?
No.
All right. So and then you can what you can put some little squid down there or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean if you
they'll eat anything.
they'll eat
I mean,
anything. So
fish bites. They're Evan's favorite.
We were offshore trolling a stretch 30 in 35 feet of water, and hooked a black sea like a 10-inch black sea bass on a stretch 30.
Oh yeah, yeah, and especially you have kids. Even if you get on just the small ones, I had a kid on the boat Saturday, and he was just having a blast. He wanted to drop it straight down and just watch him eat. And there was always the smaller ones, so I took a Little John and cut it down. And he was able to small one was just he was having a blast.
Matt Yeager has an interesting little tidbit here. He says on a recent outing he found that the bigger trout were hitting the ascending plug. In other words, the floating as it rises back to the surface much more than the descending.
College word.
In 2 to 4 feet of water, but he said it was colder than. However,
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that because that's when we were really catching them on those stick minnows, and some of the red fins. Like I said, the red fins just weren't producing as well.
It's coming.
Oh yeah,
if we ever get consistent cool weather, it's coming.
Yep. But the 100 stick minnow was diving a little deeper.
Yeah.
So we were working a little quicker, get it down deep, and then just letting it rise back
Gotcha.
up. And they were like he said, when it was ascending, they were whacking it.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so I guess that's going to get close to wrapping us up here, guys. If you got any other last-minute questions or comments you want to get in before we leave off, let me just scroll back up here to the top, make sure I hadn't missed anybody that showed up tonight. Justin Anderson, he's probably not around anymore, but we appreciate you showing up, man. We already talked about, I think, everybody else we got. So, like I said, Hugh, Deb, thanks. They listen from North Georgia, above Atlanta, so that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
love the broadcast. We appreciate that you listening. Matthew says exactly, Kenny. So there you go. Matthew's a good little Matt knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, Matt's a scrappy fisherman.
He is a scrappy fisherman. He's good. I fished with Matt quite a bit, and he knows what he's talking about. All right, so I guess that's about it. We're going to wrap up. I am Captain Jay Carson. This is Captain Kenny Mullins. We got Captain Evan Snow down here, Apalachee Inshore Charters. Evan, we appreciate you stopping in last minute, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to roll out of bed to come up here.
You taking a nap? Get you a little nap?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
So I'm drinking the coffee, man.
Yeah, I think we're all like a little tired tonight, not as talkative.
Hey, they got the Krabby coffee up here. She hooked me up with some. It's pretty good, I have to say.
We want to also thank Stephanie and George for Keaton Beach Trading Post for hosting us. They've been so awesome and accommodating, just kind of like we've been a lot of last minute times just trying to throw this together. So we always appreciate them working with us. So
yeah, I literally texted her this morning.
So. And the trading post is awesome. If you ever get a chance and you're down here and Stephanie's here, just stop in and say hello and come check out what they got. They got a bunch of stuff in here. Stephanie has maximized her space in here. So she's got a little bit of everything in a small amount of area, which is it's awesome. You don't have to. You can look and see what all they got.
If you come down here on the weekend and stop in and grab some Keaton Beach Christmas gift swag to take back up and give out.
Lots of tumblers, lots of clothes, lots of hot sauces, different kind of sauces, sunglasses, buoy boots. So if you need your wintertime
great wintertime footwear.
They got you can grab that. She's got all different sizes, men's and women's, kids. So there you go, men's, women's, and kids. So please stop in here and say hello. Got this Krabby coffee brand too right here. So you're interested in trying some different coffee out, she's got that. Or you just forgot your coffee. You got down here to the beach and you realize you didn't grab any coffee, you can come in here and grab that as well.
Even has the autumn pumpkin spice.
She's got wine in here. She's got a little bit of everything. So I mean, if you wine mixers. Sorry, wine mixers.
Not have an alcohol license. We have to bring our own.
No wine. Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's mixers. I was looking at something else. Yeah,
Beach
mixers.
Bums has wine though.
Yeah. So. There you go. So Stephanie, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And so that's going to wrap us up, guys. We'll talk to you next month. For all these guys, again, I'm Jay Carson. We'll see you next month.